Now, what's going on? What's going on? Wow, I haven't done a live in a long time. At least that's what it seems like. How you doing, Dr. J?
Hey, nice to meet you. Great to be here.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
It's a little weird for us because, like we talked about off camera, we do a lot of ours pre-recorded, and then now that we're shifting to live, the format's a little different.
Well, we'll roll with it. Whatever you got going on, we're going to make it
Oh,
happen.
we are good. Yeah.
And normally when we go
I'm gonna
live,
share out the live right now too. So
usually when
Okay.
we go live with someone, we've already recorded with them and kind of like
yeah.
got the feel and know quite a bit. So
Yes. No, we're good. We're good. Like I said, we're gonna wait for a few. We're gonna let some people pop in here. If you see some people popping in, if you're coming in, please share the live out. Like it, drop a comment, let us know where you're watching from. We have Dr. Harold Jonas on today, and I am going to share it out right now.
do you have a treadmill under your stand-up desk?
No, I do my 10,000 steps though.
There you go.
That's how I keep the tan on. South Florida living at its finest.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Right? I'm a
You know,
mile
it's-
from the. That's
From
it.
the
So I'm a
beach?
mile from the beach. Yeah, so I can walk, get the ocean, and the walk in same time.
Nice.
It's pretty sweet.
What's funny is like I cannot tell you how many people in recovery are in Florida. It's insane.
Well, there's a history about that, and I could get you up to speed on how that happened. So I got off the plane in '87 and never looked back from Philly. And destination recovery, South Florida being very, very attractive, was one of the areas. Cali was one, and of course, Arizona was following third place.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was Sierra Tucson, there was Betty Ford, and then there was Hazleton. Those were the big names back in the 80s where people went, and that's where they were. Florida, Arizona, and California, and everything built up around then from there, including halfway houses, sober houses, residences, etc., because they all evolved from that destination place because that's what was getting paid for, residential recovery. And that's what they had. Yeah. So that shifted. Right now, we're 2024.
Yeah.
We're IOP, PHP, community housing. The industry has changed. Recovery has changed. And I'm still here.
No, that's cool. It's funny because, we've met over the last few years doing this. We've met so many great people. And it just seems like there's so many of them that are in Florida. It's crazy.
It's really nice down here. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I love Florida. Florida is like one of my favorite places. I always told Brianna, like, if we were ever to move, it would be to Florida. But I love it. I used to go there a lot for work, and so that's my favorite spot. Actually, when we get married, our honeymoon's going to be in Florida.
Okay. I can make that guest list.
So, hey, guess what? You'll have to supply us with some sober water.
Yeah, we'll be there with it. No doubt.
My best friend of 23 years lives down there.
Which part?
Tampa area.
So West Side.
Tampa area.
Yeah. I'm on the east side by West Palm. I'm in Delray.
Yeah.
Right. The recovery capital of America, as deemed so in 2007 by the New York Times. Right. That's the way that went.
Yeah.
Where they just, saw everybody flying in from all over to go to treatment here back then. And, that's when it was just beginning to shift. And people were flying in and going and, they're getting free tickets to come to. It's phenomenal here. And if you wind up homeless, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get the sprinklers hitting you when you fall asleep on the lawn. But basically, that's where that rolls. People are just real comfortable in Florida.
Yeah. So first things first, I got to say thank you to Jamie Tall for connecting us. She's a really good friend of ours, and she always helps connect us with some amazing people. So I gotta appreciate her. She reached out to us about you, and so we were, Brianna. Brianna was a little bit more on doing the research and whatnot but it's you know what, we're excited to have you on. And so you are one of the founders of Sober Life, Sober First, right? Sober Water, or how did that?
The whole sober world is all about us. So again, picking up after that plane ride from Camden in '87, because that's where that last run was, Camden, New Jersey, which is a small slice of Americana. I think Maren Morris was just there recently doing a show, so that'll give you some background there. I dug in and I listened when I got into this whole recovery process to not go in business again for a few years, which I didn't do. But when I did, I went hard. And the reason being I had a bunch of kids to support, and just went at it with halfway houses and counseling. I wound up in grad school and finishing, goals that woke up again, as recovery tends to do for people. And realized there had to be a better way, and went live with the directory in 2000 called Sobr.com. And we created this directory so moms could go shopping for their loved ones. That was the intent, right? So moms could go shopping for their loved ones, their husbands, their brothers, their sons, and find their best clinical and financial fit. And we were really ahead of the game because people didn't know what websites were. They didn't know what traffic was. They didn't know advertising on the internet yet. That was really early stage. So we were really pioneers in that. And from there, things started to evolve into a variety of different properties, I guess, virtual properties.
How was that navigating it when it was all, brand new and you didn't really have that? Now you have other people you can go to and lots of resources and, information. So like pioneer, like you said, pioneering that and getting into it in the beginning, did you ever get discouraged, or you guys had each other's support and we're doing this no matter what?
Well, there was another guy in California that started a similar directory on his kitchen table. And we were really, really pioneers early on. We were educating the market. We had to educate the facilities that this is their next place to find, because they all got to fill their beds. Let's be, honest about that.
Yeah. Did anyone ever think you were crazy and nuts? Like, this isn't going to work?
Oh,
and turn you away.
Usually, this is good, but it was fine. We were killing things. Because again, we were teaching people how to do ads, how to do websites.
I mean, we were supposed to have flying cars by now.
Yeah,
they didn't do anything. Yeah, everything. And I'll tell you, it was really exciting time in the industry as well as on the internet to learn and teach everybody the difference between hits and real traffic, et cetera. And then everybody went in-house when code shifted from Microsoft.net to PHP, and everybody was able to afford programmers and be able to do marketing in-house and do their own websites and do their own hosting and all the things that shifted when Google came on board, and pay-per-clicks and all that stuff blew the doors off of our business. So I had already evolved into online training for coaches at that point in 2004. So we had this whole continuum building, virtually. And then Apple came out with that phone and everything shifted. I mean, that was it. This was the future of life in the palm of your hand. That's what I saw in 2007 when people stopped talking to each other and started standing around in groups, sending pictures, sending messages, because it was so new and novel. And addicts were real savvy with technology. Let me tell you what. And that's how that. And we were right there with it. And
I remember being younger, and my stepfather had a massive flip phone in the car and had speakers set up in the vehicle, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
And it was
hardwired, and you had to be careful not to knock stuff out. And he taught me how to fix it. I'd go in there and clean the car and play around with the wires and stuff like that. And that's just, I couldn't imagine running
wires and plugs and all these that's archaic now. Those
radio shacks.
And you had to turn your radio down to hear it because it wasn't connected to your radio. It was different speakers.
Yeah.
I mean, I got in trouble looking at stuff on a flip phone. So,
And now parents, and you all are listening to your kids. Parents are giving their kids flip phones to keep them off social media because it's so bad for their self-esteem. They have to go back to archaic things like a flip phone to keep them safe anymore because of all the predators and all the things that are out there. So,
I remember like looking at this flip phone, waiting like 5 or 6 minutes for a damn picture to load, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Well, 56K modems. That's how long I've been at.
And I can't imagine like trying to like network and help people and get your message out there and just help people maintain their sobriety all across the country with technology like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you guys did that, and you're still here today too.
Still in. Oh yeah, I remember reading an article that they had towers in Montana because again, the police are out there to pick up pieces. They're not out there to do anything other than identify things after the fact. But they had towers set up for wireless in Montana, up in Wyoming, and it was like, wow, this is so amazing. And so it wasn't. They didn't have T1 lines yet, and wireless was still somebody's pipe dream, going forward. And this is 2010. When I was getting pushback with a mobile app I created called Sobr Systems to help hold people accountable post-discharge, right? So you could tether them to the treatment center, and I got laughed out of the business. People were like, what are you talking about? They're not going to go to meetings if you give them an app. They're not going to do. And people still had flip phones, and they were like, no way. And I said, the homeless people have smartphones.
Yeah.
And they do. If you give a homeless guy,
I tell you. Yep.
And you know what? It's crazy you say that, because it's been there, but you used to have to find it.
Yeah.
COVID was this horrible thing that happened, but I think it opened the doors to a lot of stuff, especially in recovery, because it put that spotlight on. You don't have, if you don't want to leave your house because it's too difficult for you, you don't want to see people, you can go on your phone and go to a meeting.
Yeah.
You can
I do
my
homework.
you can do all of it right from your phone. And it's just, I think having those resources are so amazing. And, it's, so what was your idea of a Sobr system?
You ask Siri to find you a detox and a zip code, and you'll get information on your phone at a traffic light.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a directory business it's gone to shit. There's no need for it anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I think me going to meetings and stuff like that. I love that you could put like, okay, I want to get here. This is the time I have to be here. When do I have to leave to walk there?
Yeah,
or to get the bus. Like you have to get the bus here at this time, and then you wait here for 17 minutes for the next bus. Like it. It helped me, in my early stages of recovery. Like it helped me in my mind. Like, okay, I'm only going to be here for this amount of time. Like I can do it. I can stand in this area for 7 minutes and wait for the next bus. It's only 7 minutes. Instead of, before when you used to, oh, well, I don't want to be in that neighborhood. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. I'm going to miss this bus. Like, it's just technology, as much as it sucks, and our kids are so zoned into it.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. It's such a helpful tool.
Chad, don't boost her don't boost her ego, please. Somebody said in the comments that she's the voice of reason. Don't boost her ego, please.
Thank you, Serena. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab my
So with that
everything. I hear all the chewing and stuff.
Yeah.
What?
I hear all of it. You just started.
So how long have you been in recovery for?
30 years.
Well,
30
again,
years, right?
Well, it's now going to be 38. Come November. That's my next anniversary. So I got off that plane, like I said, in 1987 and never looked back. I did everything that was suggested, which was a new thing for me to listen and to learn. And that was really, I think, the most important piece for my recovery is to become teachable and to let that happen, because here I had all the answers, didn't know any fucking questions, but I had the answers, right? As I've learned many of us do. But that's how it was for me in the beginning, was listening and learning. And back then, they would tell you, just shut the fuck up. You don't know anything. And put cotton in your mouth and take it out of your ears. That's the way that went back in the early days of my recovery. But we would hear stuff like that out loud in a meeting. It was not unusual, and you can't do that anymore. That's like politically incorrect.
What was your choice, if you don't mind me asking, your substance?
More.
Okay.
More. So that really, and I really settled on the longer acting painkillers, because that's where all the drama was in my head. And
Yeah.
so, because all the amphetamine-based shit wore off too quick.
I
But
never messed with the uppers. I could never do that.
Yeah. Well, again, I came from the 60s.
Yeah.
So whatever was available went in my body. And then towards the end, I mean, the last, I guess, 5 or 8 years, it was all about whether it melted or not.
Yeah, and at least you didn't have to, nowadays with the fentanyl and shit, like everybody's dying from that. I mean, it's fentanyl's they're lacing in weed and all kinds of stuff, and it's like you can't even. You know what? October will be 6 years for me, and fentanyl was my drug of choice, and that's what I choose. And I tell you, if I would be scared nowadays to go back and try anything because Lord knows I try it once and I'm out.
That guy that I was talking to at the rally this weekend, we went to a fentanyl rally in Washington. Did you see this weekend?
Yeah.
And he asked me, he's like, "Did you know you were doing fentanyl?" I'm like, "That's all I wanted to buy."
Yeah.
Like if it didn't have fentanyl in it, I didn't want it because it wasn't going to get me high.
Yeah. Well,
it was less expensive.
Yeah. Before it hit the street, you had to get it from a doctor in lollipops. They were doing like oral. That's back in the 90s and the 2000s. That's how you got fentanyl.
It's funny you say that. I remember my first.
It was an exotic thing, right?
Yeah.
It was. That's what they called it. But
I remember my first edible. I was working in a bodega in San Francisco, and we had lollipops.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever buy them. So the owner one day was like, "Go ahead, they don't sell." I tried one. I started pushing them to people. I'm like, "You want this? Like you're floating. Like you feel good." And now they're everywhere. This was back in like 2006.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So I want to go back to like, I don't know if I read stuff and I hear things, but none of it's ever from the horse's mouth. It's always from other people about substances affecting people differently. Like I could sit next to somebody that weighed the same as me, has been using the same amount of time as me. I could use the same amount and they're nodding out and I'm up cleaning everything.
Oh.
And we use the same exact thing. Do you know why that happens?
Well,
like
that's what makes us special, basically, as people and on biochemistry. When I was running housing, I knew this one guy was high because he would clean the refrigerator in the apartment, and that's what he did. The opiates and the Percocets that he was running would get him energized, and he was a plumber by trade, and he would be able to do amazing things when he was high, but he was the laziest fuck when he wasn't. That's how we would gauge things.
That's how I feel.
Suddenly he would make his bed and make his roommate's bed and clean the refrigerator, and we say Henry's high. That's what we called him. And then one day the jump squad cornered him on the property because they come down from Connecticut looking for him. That's how much aggravation he had created for himself. And they surrounded the property, and there was this big TV scene going on. And those are the kind of stories I'm full of. Not my active addiction stories because they're not pretty and nothing but shame-based. But I got like a lot of real colorful stories of people that I've observed and been a part of their process. And on the other side of it, they've got long-term recovery now, and they're doing amazing things for themselves and their families and communities. Those are the stories that I'm full of. But I've been doing enough funerals that'll make you cry now for Christmas, including people in my family. I mean, I don't know if Jean filled you in with some of the trauma that I share more for resilience and let people know that there's nothing.
So true.
When you commit to recovery, nothing is going to deter that, including death, divorce, and illness, and any of the above. And I've experienced all of it, but not bankruptcy, but plenty of failures. A lot of failures. And buried my son, and he was high on fentanyl. He riding around on his fucking scooter, because he got things. He's got no goggles on, he's got no helmet on, and he's got no headlight on, and he's just cruising. And that was that. That was that fateful night, right, where that call comes. It was one of many calls in his life and his journey.
I want to give you my condolences on your son passing, and also congratulate you on maintaining your sobriety through that too.
Right. It was a tough one.
Yeah, I can't imagine you know, the weight it put on you to, you know, a lot of us don't want to burden other people, you know, so I'm sure you wanted to keep it to yourself, but we need to reach out when we're
No,
especially like
not
that.
me. Not me. They taught us pain shared is pain lessened. Fuck that. I don't, if people don't want to be burdened, they're going to get out of the way. Right?
Yep. I tell people all the time, I'd rather you burden me with your problems while you're here than burden me with your death.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. But again, if they're not going to get out of the way and they say, no, thank you, I don't want to hear or be a part of it, then I'm going to keep talking.
Well, I mean, it's not even that, like, other people not wanting to hear it. It's us ourselves not wanting to put some of our weight on other people. And, you know, like getting out of your own way to be able to reach out.
Yeah, I'm not that selfish where I don't want to put my weight out there. Not at all.
I've never heard anyone say it that way, that's selfish. That's a great way to look at it. It's a new way to look at it.
If I don't share, if I'm not sharing, then I'm not caring. I mean, like, that's just crazy. That doesn't make sense to me, because that's what they taught us. Again, pain shared, pain lessened. And you're there as my support because you're breathing. I mean, that's the way it goes. And you're in the room, and and when people talk in the rooms, right, even though this isn't that, there's that mutual respect and that phenomena that occurs, that people listen and pay attention. And a lot of us never had that. I didn't have it I didn't have a voice when I was a kid. I was too afraid to talk. So I told you, be careful. I got that juice going. So I'm good for an hour. Easy.
At all organic Celsius.
So what was the encouragement or the drive for the whole sober life, just everything? How, like, what was that?
That evolution came last year. Sober life.
Yeah,
I've been an advocate, like an harm reduction advocate for years. I'm a methadone baby when I got in recovery. So I was like, already, I'm doing harm reduction by taking methadone. Yeah. Not calling it that. I was just like not dying.
Yeah.
You know, right? And so when they came to me from Reckitt, Ben Kieser was the founder, and the formulation of Suboxone, they needed recruitment doctors to go talk to other doctors. I was out on the street recruiting doctors to be prescribers of Suboxone. And this is, 2010, 29, before they sold the formulation and where it's evolved to become. Yeah. So we've been strong on that. And all the while juggling the website and juggling all these other projects I had going on simultaneously. But most recently, I sold the website. I sold Sobr.com. I got bought out, and somebody took it and is running hard with it. And I'm not one to sit. Like I said, we're not like hanging around here in paradise. And so the Sober Life started as wanting to talk about recovery out loud, most importantly. And what Jamie coined recently, repping our recovery. So you see it on my shirt.
24 years ago?
Yeah. See it in the background. No, just last year. We started with the shirts, and then the evolution of our new product line called Sober Water. Sober Life Water is what we're putting in the marketplace now. So we can start drinking our recovery. That's the idea.
Yep, drowning out the stigma too.
Drown that stigma. Right. That's important.
That's very catchy.
Yeah. Well, it's a play off of that damn freaking stuff. What is that? What's that other liquid death? Liquid death. That's what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
It's kill like kill your thirst or whatever. Yeah. Drown the stigma. So we're trying to run similarly to that, because I'm not one to reinvent the wheel. I never claimed to be that smart. So this way you just keep doing what works, and that's what works is real catchy marketing stuff, and people may be buying into it. That's the big plan. That's the big plan.
Can people go online and order the water to have it shipped?
Yeah, right now pre-order. Yeah, pre-order on soberlife.com. But again, it's SOBR, LIFE deliberately. So we could be a little off because we don't want to take ourselves too seriously here. That's the most important thing.
I've been noticing a lot lately with a lot of these sober brands that are coming out. They're spelling it with the SOBR.
Yeah. So we got the trademark. Yeah, we cornered the trademark on that a couple of months ago. So I'm really hard at digging into the bank account to make this thing float.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm real committed, even though I'm on the other side of my lifespan and career. As far as that, I've still got a little juice left in me to push. So
Yeah.
we're going for it.
Okay, so going back to I didn't realize that Sober Life was born so just not that long ago. So going back to the beginning, we're talking when you first started coming up with the whole sober stuff. What you said it was the marketing, right? Or the
We were advertising. We're selling advertising.
So
and then
what was that thought about? Like what was that thought to make you want to start that?
Well, again, when people are non-compliant in their housing component, wherever they're at housing,
yeah,
there was no directory on where to refer people to. So essentially, they're homeless.
Okay.
And there's another house for them to go try again at. There has to be, but there was no directory locally if there was word of mouth or nationally. So I saw that void, which was really critical. This is like pre-NAR, pre-FAR, pre-anything. This is like, 1995. And I'm watching this as I'm watching people, kind of using their halfway houses. And again, they can't be there if they're using because it affects the whole community. So they have to go somewhere. But where are they going to go if they don't qualify for detox? And again, they're going to need a place to go afterwards. So we open up that door to create the directory. And then people wanted to put their stuff there because they needed to be known. And there was a need. So, that's the big thing in America and capitalism is you find a hole and you fill it and there's a need. And that was what it was. And then it evolved to be the whole continuum of care from detox right on through to, 3-quarter-way houses and everything in between. So we're heating and selling and going to conventions and really running hard for a good 10 years like that. And having a good time doing it. I got all kinds of like little tchotchkes. I don't know if you can see this one. This is when we were surfing the web. This is a T-shirt.
Okay.
This is a T-shirt wrapped up like a surfboard, right? And we would throw them at people. We would throw these and launch them all over. All kinds of fun stuff like that. That's Mr. Natural. I don't know if you know who that is. Can you see him there?
Yeah, let me look at my phone.
Yeah, it's Mr. Natural from the Grateful Dead in the 1960s. Right?
Yep, now I see him.
Right. That's it. What that was. So we're all about that. And again, everybody was having such a good time because it was like the Wild West. It was like wide open. The internet was just opened up a floodgates.
Yeah, it was all new.
And it was, all new. And so I'm like buying domain names because it's virtual real estate. So I owned a whole portfolio of domain names that were very, very valuable. You remember that directory called rehabs.com?
Yeah.
I don't know if you looked at that one. They did an amazing job with that one. But that was, big equity buyout, a few years back. So again, I've been around the industry and on the periphery of treatment for many, many years now. We're into decades. So that's how that looks. So again, the evolution of everything peripheral. So there's a recovery coach training site that we started in 2004. Then we had the app going on. Then we had a coffee house happening. We had a transitional housing.
Want to talk a little bit more about your online recovery coaching?
Right. So recoverycoaches.com, which is still active, right? So it's
with an S?
Yeah, recovery coaches, recoverycoaches.com. And that was probably one of the first directories and training sites where people can go and basically self-teach themselves how to maintain a good amount of education and be qualified to sit for their certifications, which again are new throughout the country. They're called peer support specialists in most states now. But we went with this generic recovery coaches because recovery became really about balance, about a recovery of your balance in life, not necessarily about abstinence, because that's not really the way recovery is getting defined anymore, according to SAMHSA and all the powers that be. What do they call it? They call it Cali recovery now. That's what Demi Lovato decided.
Cali Sobr.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, use everything. Yeah. So
we're gonna definitely talk to you because Chad Madsen, that's in the comments, and Brianna and I and a couple other people, we're starting a organization. I'm not saying like too much, but we're starting an organization, and we're kind of going down that app route and different things. So
Great.
we'll definitely the coach, certified peer support specialist, and all that.
I've been I always miss them. I've been trying to apply for a loan so I can do that, but you have to have like all this stuff together. So I'm gonna start just doing my online training that's free. So when I apply next year for that grant, I'll already have stuff done, so it shows that I've already taken the initiative beforehand.
Great. Yeah, just call me or email me. We'll get you hooked up. We'll get you hooked up. Because again, every state has different levels of education requirements. But we have a NADAC. NADAC is the national organization that sets a standard, and there's a NADAC training course there that pretty much prepares you for that. And the next big move, and if you're not watching Philadelphia, they just went in and swept off the whole K&A, put everybody in fucking jail, right? That's and they say, they're going to go to treatment. That's a pile of shit because there's no money for treatment and professionals being there. So they're going to rot, right? And the reason I'm sharing this is because now we created a forensic coaching course to help inmates get discharged and stay the hell out of going back, because that's really a linkage that needs to be put in place. And that started in Georgia, where they have inmates helping inmates. So we have to train those inmates to get out of that jail prison culture mentality and be of service to their fellow, so they can truly reduce recidivism back into the system. Because again, it's just horrible what's going on. It just breaks my heart because it's not supposed to be that way, right? It can be better.
It's crazy that you're saying that too, because the organization that we're literally talking about, that we're starting, has a lot to do with the reformation and with, I mean, it is insane. So you're gonna be a good guy to talk to. But yeah, it's crazy. They're just going down and just sweeping them all up. And we have a good friend down there in Philly, and we're getting ready to go down to Philly here soon. We're gonna do some outreach work because they're like overwhelmed down there. But it's just like it they think that just locking them up is gonna fix it. And like, no, like it's not doing shit.
Well, they got xylazine out there, which is like these non-healable wounds. It's killing.
Yeah, you see people's fucking fingers fall off.
That's
it's worse than bad. It's worse than bad isn't even a descriptor about what's going on up there. And that's my home turf. I got children. I got adult children that live in the area still, and they're walking over people, right, to get on the subway to go to work. I mean, that's one of my sons is up there. He's a pharmacist at one of the hospitals, and he's like, it's as bad as they report. It's as bad as they report. They had a harm reduction shooting gallery up there that they shut it down, and then it really went downhill from there.
Sobr Sisters.
Yeah, it was really ugly. Really ugly.
Yeah, anyway. I think it's called Sobr Sisters or something like that. They had a right in Kensington. They petitioned, and they're not renewing their lease. I think they're out in the beginning of September.
Right.
Which is just sad, It's
What happened in Washington? Because I didn't go. I heard about the rally and I didn't go because we're going to sponsor an event the end of the month.
It was hot, very very hot.
Yeah. Are y'all coming to NYC in end of September? No, end of July. We're doing an event there.
Jamie was telling us about that. It's on the 28th, right? We're actually going to be in the city. So I wanted to ask you about that. Like, when is it? Right. Where is it?
We're in the city the 27th and 28th. We're already there in Long Island.
Super. So the organizer's name is Mika. Mika is part of Recover Out Loud New York, and she's putting this event on in Washington Square on NYU campus, right? That famous Washington Square. They used to call it Needle Park back in the day. That's all probably way before your time. So Washington Square is downtown in the Village, and it's from 1 to 4 on the 28th. That's Sunday. And Sobr Life is the main sponsor. Everybody's got their shirts on, and they have.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going to go see where my water's getting drank, because everybody's going to be walking up. Let me get you a can. I'll show you.
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah,
that'd be great. We can meet up in person.
Yeah, exactly. We'd like to meet as many people as we can in person.
Yeah.
All the little chickens with us.
This is the original can. It looks like the poster behind me, right? So
Okay.
it says Sober War on it, but because we couldn't do our trademark yet, so we're going to cover this one. It says Sober Life now. That's what it's going to
Okay.
be, right? But basically, it's the same can. This is a recyclable aluminum can with a twist off top,
Yeah.
and it has the most fantastic artesian well water inside that is best served cold. That's all I can tell
I
you.
love that it's aluminum because you can reuse it.
Aluminium.
And it'll stay, you know, it's you don't have to clean it as often too.
Is it aluminium?
Yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff.
No, we'll definitely be there. We're gonna be in town Friday evening, and then we have an event Saturday at for work, and then we're leaving Sunday. So we'll be in the area.
Okay. Washington Square is downtown. So there's a release going out next week. So be looking at the press wires. That's where we're going to push it out. And
yeah, Jamie said she was going to send me the Instagram link to it.
I think I put it. I might have sent it in the bio. Maybe not. Anyway,
I'll look at it. I'll look in the email.
Yeah. Most of my life is email.
Do you still have like an app and all that good stuff that you still have an active app?
The app is not live anymore because I couldn't keep up with the iOS and Google Store, Play Store, the standards of code and security. And I wasn't getting enough visitors or users of the app. And there's a lot better ones that are in the market now that are connected with treatment centers and doing the same kind of thing I wanted. In California, Newsom created contingency management, which is my last play, was when we created a cryptocurrency to pay people to stay sober. That's what my last big move was. We were trying to pay people with Sober coin to tell us they were sober, right? And that's all they had to do was download the app, download the crypto, and we would give them money. And it was too complicated for even addicts to download a digital wallet and learn how to use and trade crypto. So we kind of like we're pissing in the wind with that. But the idea was sound, where contingency management, which is really a scientifically proven research-based intervention, was adopted as law by Governor Newsom, and they're using it in California to pay people to stop smoking meth with gift cards. They're using Medicaid gift cards.
What?
Yeah. And if you want to use it in your county, you have to petition the state and put an intervention together, and they'll give you money to pay people to stop using drugs in your county in California. So,
but in gift cards?
In gift cards, $50 increments, right? So
I mean, I guess they're smart not to give them cash.
Well, addicts are addicts, they'll trade it off for 30.
It is true, no matter what it is.
But
that's a good concept, though.
That's neither here nor there. The incentive is that they're going to stop, not right. So we're not going to control everything. We're going to do the best we can. But again, it's a proven methodology, and they're doing it. And so if this works with the data they're collecting, it's going to sweep the country, and all the states are going to use their Medicaid dollars to start addressing substance abuse disorder in a different way, which is something better than building another prison, right? That's what I think. It's better than creating another community around a prison, which seems to be the big idea of economics. Let's build a prison, and then we'll build housing around it for all the people that work at the prison, and then we'll just house all the drug addicts there. Because that's back in the 60s. That's what they did then, and then it cycles, and it's cycling again politically.
Right.
It's a political thing, because money's involved.
Oh yeah.
The treatment centers are, they can't fill their beds because nobody's buying.
Right.
So there's a whole nother push for this stuff. It's just part of the deal. So in order, if you want to learn about this history, I'll tell you this author I read. His name's William White, and he's like our authority in the industry and in recovery. He knows like everything there is to know. William White Papers is the name of his website, and it's something I would strongly suggest you tap into, because the latest book he's got. Let me share it with you. Oh, it's in the other room. It's called Recovery Rising, and it's a life story basically about the 60s right on through present time of what's been going on with him in the industry and recovery, and there's a whole storyline about how this evolved, and it's very informative and an easy read, for everybody. So
yeah,
something to consider. Yeah. So Recovery Rising, William White, that's the guy.
William White
I'll
Papers.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, William White Papers. So what do you? So what's what's your education like? You know, I know that you have some licenses and whatnot. I mean, what is all that?
All kinds of So this is a funny story. You know, I shared earlier, when you get clean, it wakes up all these last goals that you had when you were like, you know, before it got so bad. And one of my goals was to go to grad school. And I got sidetracked, I got married, had kids, and I never fulfilled that. And the first thing that woke up when I got clean, other than my libido, was like, you know, the desire to finish that degree. And I enrolled in grad school while I was juggling getting married and having another baby, and finished a master's and wound up getting licensed. It took 7 years, start to finish, you know, from the beginning of enrollment to finishing a license. And then I couldn't still get taken seriously because everybody went to grad school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it was. So I got certified, and you know, I'm rolling with these credentials, and I'm going to. You have all these pipe dreams and all this crap, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go get a doctorate, and so I did. Right in my 40s, I enrolled in grad school again and finished this PhD in addictions, and then people started to answer the phone when I called because I would say doctor. And they would do that. And wait, they would call back. I'm like, holy shit, fuck. Is that all it took? Right? It doesn't take money. It takes credentials. It takes the magic word, right? Either you're a lawyer or a doctor, and people all of a sudden pay attention. That's how silly things can get. So that was the real the motive for doing that. It wasn't that, you know, I woke up and wanted to be a Jewish doctor, which every Jewish mom dreams of for their son. But my mother can say that because she's still with us. You know, my son, the doctor. But you know, I'm not a surgeon and do head shit.
Yeah.
Right.
You still a doctor? Shit.
Still a doctor, shit, and I still see clients. And yeah. So be careful. Be careful what you say, young man. Be careful what you say.
Okay, so what do you do outside of like the Sobr water and all that? So do you work full time at like another facility?
No. Self-employment. I'm not made for working for other people. I was never good with authority and never good with rules. Never good with any of that stuff. So I spent a lot of my time walking around the neighborhood, working on my tan, and giving out business cards and talking shit about what needs to be done, and you know, having coffee and interacting. Because I learned on one of these things I listened to, these podcasts, that the key to happiness is to talking to a stranger every day. So I make it a point to wake up and find somebody I don't know to talk to, or talk with, and that brings fulfillment. I'm not sure how or why that works, but it's less isolating, right?
You learn something too every day.
Yeah, and you can learn something about something, right? That's the idea.
Even if you're not, you know, you're just learning about somebody.
Right, because it's again back to being
words.
Sure.
You get some words from somebody else.
Yeah, what's that? They made a podcast. It's out of Yale. Dr. Lori Sanchez, I think her name is. It's called the Happiness Lab, and really, it's a course, and it became a podcast that became very popular. The Happiness Lab, and she teaches people how to be happier, I think that's pretty cool. You can get it, and it's free on Spotify.
Obviously, she knows what she's talking about because it's working for you.
Yeah, she's a different kind of doctor. She's a clinical psychologist.
She's a brain doctor.
Yeah. They do research and they do stuff like that, study about how they arrived at why talking to a stranger makes you happier. Right? And it just does. So I keep doing things that make me happy and stay away from things that don't make me. You know,
what other hobbies do you have besides talking to strangers?
So I ride my bike. I have a bike that I'm watching people drive around with their face in their phone. So that's always a good hobby, is to see how many people run into each other while they're talking on the phone or looking at their makeup, and doing Instagram while they're driving. So that's one of the hobbies, as well as surfing. I'm in the water a lot.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's pretty much.
You know,
do a lot of reading. You know?
Yeah. Being in the water a lot, you got to worry about the fucking sharks biting your feet off.
Not where I'm at. Where you don't have sharks. There was one I've seen in 37 years. One shark I've seen in Delray Beach, and it was floating like 6 feet off the shore, and everybody was running down the shore. This was just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, watching this, like, 6 foot shark kind of like mosey on down, looking for little children or something. I'm not sure what. But because you could suddenly walk on water when you see a shark. Yeah, really. And people are just flying. They're all like, get out of the water. It looked like Jaws. It was really wild. It looked like Jaws.
And you're just ignoring everybody.
Right? But now up north, where like 2 hours north of me, people are getting bit by sharks, in Daytona and Cocoa up there, because it's different water. I mean, it's the same ocean, but it's different water around the land. So it's murkier, and I don't know.
Or hiding places.
I'm not that good anyway in the water. So I stay.
You can just surf, you can't swim.
Yeah, I can swim. I can't surf. They call them posers. So I'm out there. I look great. I look good. I look good with the board and shit. But I'm still trying to, because I had to give it up when I got recovery. I learned, and then I had to go to work because I had kids already, and priorities shifted, so I couldn't chase waves like some people I know. So I'm back to it. Now that everybody's grown up and I'm on the other side, I can start chasing waves again. So
yeah.
Or how are you planning on getting distribution on the Sobr water? Are you trying to get into stores? Like, are you just doing it online or what?
Amazon. We're going through Amazon because this can of water is a pound. So when you're pushing 24 of these, you're looking at 30 pounds. It's a lot of. It costs more to ship this crap than it does to buy it. That's how crazy it is. I sent a case of water to somebody I know in California. It cost me $100 to ship a case of water because of the weight, right? It's the weight.
Now, what would it retail if you bought it?
It's $1.75 a can. So that's what we're trying. I mean, and I was at Whole Foods today. I bought a can of Fiji. It was $1.99. Yeah. And another competitive water like this was at $2.25. Yeah. It's called Proud Water. And Liquid Death is $2, for a can, and it's just water. It's just wet.
I tried my first Liquid Death the other day for the very first time. I was like, what's up? Because I see Steve-O on his podcast drinking it all the time. So I was like, let me try this. It was really good water. I do say that it is really good water.
Yeah. But it creates that stigma because it lets people think you're drinking a can of tall boy. I mean, that's what it looks like to a lot of people. It looks like a tall boy. And so people are hiding in plain sight that they're in recovery by drinking that compared to this. I mean, if you hold the two up together, which one says recovery? Which one says that you support?
Right.
This is a message. We're selling a message, not a can and not the content. We're selling a message of reducing the stigma and getting a conversation going. That's the idea here.
Right.
When I cared, I would get a wine glass and have some cranberry juice and some Sprite mix, or some grape juice and some Sprite mix, and it looked like I was drinking a glass of wine. But now I don't care to hide it.
Yeah, right. And the woman I live with, she drinks everything, including water, out of a wine glass, and she's 27 years in recovery, but she's still stuck on this wine glass thing. And I just look at it and shake my head. I'm like, why? What is going on with this? But that's her thing. That's her thing, and I just stay out of her life like that. I just want it in my body. I'm not really caring about what kind of container it's in. I'm thirsty. Right.
Now, where are you getting the water from again?
It's an artesian well, which is pumped up out of the ground naturally. That's how that water comes up naturally. It's artesian well in Virginia, in the mountains of Virginia. That's where it is.
Yeah.
And it's I'm biased, but I'm not that biased, so I can't be objective and say it's really no aftertaste, no metallic taste because of the can. I'm like really pleased with the product, objectively speaking, and I drink a lot of water because that's what you're supposed to do, right? We're 70% water as an entity. We have to hydrate. It's really critical that we do that. So I drink a lot of water anyway. And look, we're selling a message. That's the most important thing. We're not selling anything but, and I don't claim to be doing anything but selling something that's wet, but it's, really carrying the message of getting a conversation changed about recovery and about addiction, about mental health, because it's still in the closet. It's still, I want it to be dinner time conversation at the dinner table. If people still freaking do that without looking at their phones, because you go to a restaurant, you see families, everybody's looking at their phone.
Yeah, they're all on their phones. Yeah,
it's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Families are not talking to each other at restaurants. I'm like, why even go out? You must all take different Ubers to get here. I mean, like, what the fuck?
Right.
It's the saddest statement that I've seen, other than The Simpsons. On the American Family.
Yeah. No, we're definitely. Chad and I will definitely going to have a conversation with you regarding launching this stuff, because
Great. Hopefully I can help you save some time and money with these things, because even programmers offshore are expensive because they are, and it's just challenging having gone through. I started building my app in 2010, launched in 2012. And it kept evolving and evolving, and we got recognized, and we got validated, and we won awards and contests, and it still didn't. Look, people would adopt it, but they wouldn't implement. That's what I ran into, because it was so early stages of app development. Now they're everywhere. Everything is in the app store. Everything is an app. So how do people pick and choose? There's a couple real new ones that are out there doing well. They claim to be doing well, but I don't know if that's factual, because people can lie, cheat, and steal about their traffic and about how many users they have, because you can buy users. You can buy names.
Yeah, you can.
And so I don't know. Facts.
Yeah. Let's go down the list on plug in all of where people can reach out and support. So website.
Soberlife.com, SOBRLIFE, soberlife.com. You can pre-order the water there. And it's $42 a case. That's what the pre-sale cost is right now. Probably going to be more on Amazon. They charge $26 a case to deliver it to your door. To me, as a seller, $26 a case. So like that gives you an idea like how crazy life is in terms of the world of freight. So that's because of the weight of the content. So soberlife.com, but everything is on sobernetwork.com, which is the main parent site. We do business as Sobr Network, but the company is really called Sobr Systems. That's where we're incorporated in Florida. I'm easy to reach at Jonas at Sobr Network, or info at sobernetwork.com, because that's where all the action is, not .net, not .org, but .com. And then we have a variety of different product lines on that site. The coaching site, the app is still live. The coin stuff was still there to see the white paper and the whole contents of what we were trying to do with that, with the contingency management. So you can see the evolution of where it's still going to come back. It's all going to come back again full circle, because that's the way it trends. The coaching is here to stay. And of course, the Sober Life whole saying out loud, wearing it proud, is going to be the next big push in recovery, because we can't stay hidden. We just can't, as a population, stay hidden and get done what we want. That's the way I see it.
You definitely might still be onto something with the Sobr coin. I think, with a little bit more, research and whatnot, you might be able to make it.
It'll come back. Bitcoin's up to 70 grand again. It's a formula. It's a mathematical formula. There's nothing to this thing, but we have a whole economy that you can only buy things that are going to be wellness oriented with your Sobr coin. Detox, housing,
stuff
like that.
It kind of pisses me off when, to think that, I could have invested $100 into Bitcoin, back then when it first took off. I'd be a multimillionaire by now.
I remember sitting in my friend's house, and she used to get so mad at her boyfriend for buying Bitcoin and Bitcoin and Bitcoin. And this was 9-10 years ago. Yeah. And now, I can only imagine. I can only imagine what they're doing with it.
Right. Well,
like you said, 70 grand, shit. That was only about 35,000 at one point, not that long ago.
It was $5,000 when I started buying it, and I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Click. This is crazy. But you still got to be on top of it and wait. Because it goes like this. because one person,
Yeah.
these whales are controlling the market manipulation. You watch
Yeah.
Bankman-Fried, become a multi-billionaire because he manipulated the market. That's how that shit rolls. So you got to be in for it all. You can't kind of dance around.
If you go on the stock site, and you look at the trending, statistics on it, it goes up and down, up and down. You just got to be able to ride it out.
That's right.
I've held on to stocks for some years at one point, just buying into like $20-$30 a share. And, after a few years, you get a few grand out of it, but it's just being patient with it.
Right. And doing the Warren Buffett thing, just buy it and hold. That's what he did. And he's now, in his 90s, living in the same house because he set an interesting example for people, He still drives the same Cadillac he bought in 1962 or something because why wouldn't I? Because it still runs. Why wouldn't I drive it? That's his value system because that's what's really got to get the correction is the value system. What's most important, And again, for me, most important is a higher level of contentment. And I do that by doing the things I did tomorrow, which is talking to a stranger and taking care of myself and not using, most importantly, no matter what, right? That starts the day like that, ends the day like that. Same thing. I'm going to wake up. I'm not going to use no matter what. And if I had a lot of those no matter what's, right? His mom, I didn't share with you, but my son, right? I got married in recovery. I'm like, this is it. This is Hollywood. I met this woman. I'm like, this is being symbols, clashing, chemistry, compatibility, everything's popping. So we bring a child into the world. And, now I'm 26 years we separated. And then 2 years after that, our son passed. And then she passed 2 years ago in this crazy freaking B-movie horror show of an incident. And now they're both gone, right? My whole recovery family, they're not here with me anymore. It's just really crazy to even say that shit out loud and not break down, which sometimes it would just be a flood of emotions. Not tonight because it gets a little less the more shared, a little less the more shared. And I shared it this morning with somebody, so it's a little less later in the evening tonight. But they're greatly missed, despite there was a lot of love there that just can't get replaced. So. Yeah.
You just got to keep doing what you're doing and keep being that encouragement and that light and make them proud.
That's the message, right? It's like, don't use no matter what. That's what they told us. And you can do it, right? Like you said, for 10 minutes, you can do anything. And if it's a short clock, make it a short clock. That's how I learned. And then for me, it was a day. A day was like it was like forever. And the days piled up and now it'll be 37 years. And in my home group, the guy that does the group with me, the Zoom meeting, he's got 40 years. And he was here when he was here when I got, and we're still doing the meeting together. We've been in this home group for 37 years together. We read the book every week, right? This is what we do. Same thing. Different editions. And we're on tradition 11 next week. I'll send you the link and you can jump in and see, right? So we're still at it. And because that's what works, and people were here for me, right? People were here for me when I got here, and I want to be here for them. And that's how it works. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's what really helped me in the beginning of my recovery journey was going to meetings to hear other people's stories. I have 1 year, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm happy about today, or I have 5 years. And this is what I accomplished, and this is what I did, and I'm happy. Knowing that, seeing people and hearing them talk about having a fulfilling life, I think I'm happy, right now while I'm using, but seeing, 5 years from now, how happy I can and will be, and that's
and really, they got love in their eyes, right? They got love in their eyes, and it's that intangible thing that you can't put your finger on it, but that's what it is. They have self-love and love for others, and they're there, I
wasn't going to the meetings for the steps and this, that, and the other thing. It literally was just to hear people's success stories and to know that I could be that person one day, and I will be that person one day.
Yeah, and now you are, right? And now you are, and here we are tonight, right? So that's awesome. You guys, you're in California, right?
No, we're in New York. up by
You're in New
Canada.
York? Oh, so
Yeah.
it's late down for you? Oh, good. So,
Yeah.
so you're up, where in New York are you?
We're near Niagara Falls.
Okay. Oh, nice. I used to live in Vermont, so I'm
Okay.
kind of familiar with the New England foliage and all that stuff. I mean, I go up
Gorgeous.
every year just to look at the leaves and see that what I'm missing here in Florida, right?
Yeah.
We don't
That's
get
about
that.
it.
Yeah,
Just the
we
leaves
get
changing colors.
rain. That's the big climate change is rain.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
We're getting a
So-
lot of that right now is the rains
Right.
and tornadoes and, you know, the effects from the hurricanes and stuff.
Mhm.
So that's where we're at right now. Like every day is a tornado warning, and
Yeah.
it's been
Wow.
a crazy week and a half in weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your internet go down when that happens? Do you lose connection?
Depends.
I mean,
Yeah.
we haven't recently. The power flickered the other day for a second.
No, down
But-
here, if you get a storm, everything everything discombobulates.
Mhm.
You know, everything comes
Yeah.
to a standstill, right? And people drive into each other like they're playing bumper cars. They don't slow down for weather conditions. They just keep going on at 70,
Yep.
80 miles an hour. And
Yep.
now you can't even hear the metal anymore hitting each other.
doing
It's
their
the-
makeup and playing on Instagram.
Yeah, they're full of plastic, right? So I'm sitting at a traffic light just yesterday, and I'm just minding my own business, which is like looking around with my head on a swivel. And the lady in a Jeep Cherokee just drives into the back of the car that's next to me. Just drives right into it. I'm like, what the fuck happened? All I heard was this thud, and she's just sitting there going wink like this, and I'm like, damn. And it was just a little like one of those little teeny I series BMWs or 1 Series. It was like a little compact thing. And this dude is really fucked because his neck was just like, you know, ratcheted. And because she slammed
You're
it
not
at 30.
anticipating that.
I don't think she had brakes. Honest to God, when I looked at the car all dented up and the bumper hanging off it, I don't think she had brakes. And I remember driving around, right, with no brakes to go cop dope. I remember doing that. That's what it did to my brain. I remember putting vice grips on my brake lines because I didn't want to put money into the brake fluid. I just clamped them off. So I only had back brakes, and I ran into one of those emergency vehicles, and I like shit, and I fled the scene. I fled the scene and switched the light. I mean, I did all the things that drug addicts do to stay out of jail and keep using it. You know, not my finest moment at all. Not my finest moment, but you know, this one many of those ugly stories that I still remember when shit like that happens. It's like it happened yesterday again, that kind of thing. That's how our brains work. That's an answer to your question why you could be sitting there. Never mind. I won't even share that story. But, you know.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and just spending the last hour with us, and we're definitely gonna promote the sober water and the coaching and all that.
And we will definitely
Call me or email me about getting in the training. You know, we'll give you a complimentary thing so you can get started and see if it's a fit for you. And we'll look for you guys in New York right on the 28th.
Yeah. I'll shoot you my number. We'll talk from there.
We're gonna have 7 of us.
You can't miss me. I'll have this shirt on. I'm gonna wash it.
If anybody's just tuning in, you can catch the replay, or this will be up on the website. So theblacklistpodcast.com.
Super. Great job, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on, Dr. J, and we'll be in touch. And ladies and gentlemen,
don't stop when we end this.
Don't hang up. Don't stop.
Oh, okay.
Recording. But
okay.
But anyway, so everybody, thank you for tuning in, and until next time, we're signing off.
And there's a couple links up in the comments that you guys can click on. And
you say that after I do my little outro. All right, hold on. Let me end the recording.
Okay.
Later, guys.
Absolutely, Chad. Have a good one.
Good night, everybody.